This is Justin. You know me from offroad.com. I'd like to welcome to Diesel Ayatollah tonight. We're in the garage to explore something of a mystery I just fought my way through when we're not off-roading in the offroad.com Forerunner, third gen Forerunner, which is most of these posts involve. There's a STi parked in the garage. We put the wing back on temporarily just to forget how gigantic it is, because that wing's gigantic. It's going to come off again. Half shafts though for the STi. We're dealing with the boot clamps because what Subaru and other OEs are sending out as boot clamps now are not what you've seen before, and it was very difficult to find information on the web about it. Been dealing with an interesting little quandary with these boot clamps, and to explode a little bit of the information, you guys are used to boot clamps like these. You've seen a ton of these. They're called the crimp or the ear boot clamps. They're usually heavier. You see them a lot on factory equipment. These are on the outboard boots on the STi's front half shaft. Well, there's a different type of boot clamp now that's coming out that you may have not seen, the earless boot clamp. It looks like this, and you may not know how to approach them. We had to do a whole bunch of work to figure out how to approach them. I'm going to show you some of the differences right now so you can get an idea. We're just doing this as an explanado because the information is not out there. Cluttered workbench is a cluttered mind. You ever heard that? Oh, that would be perfectly accurate.
Can they say the same thing about kitchens and houses?
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, hey, at least my house is not cluttered.
I'm not saying your house, I'm just saying those people's houses.
I'd like to remind you guys, again, Justin with offroad.com. You also know me from the Garage Hour, garagehour.com. It's a radio show, cars, trucks, beers, and guns. But we got the Diesel Ayatollah here doing the video, one of my co-hosts. And he made a great point. I did not intentionally position that, but O'Reilly's is one of the places I went to figure where these come from out. They were called Precision Boot Clamps. I'm not sure if that's a brand name. I think it is. Found that online. Precision boot clamps, but again, no more information about it. Other than the factories and the OEs are using this style more and more now. When I went back and said, hey, Subaru, where are the ears? The guy who sold them to me is like, yeah, where are the ears? He didn't realize there were no ears on it either. So he went and talked to his guys back in the shop. Well, let's do that here. All right, ready? What are you open? Am I opening or closing? You're panning from my messed up Vice.
It's all blurry now.
What's blurry? The Vice?
You.
I am not blurry. I am quite positive that I am sharp.
We gotta find some glasses for your camera.
Is it working now?
That's working.
Okay. Yeah, you show my poorly mounted Vice. Don't do this at home, folks. Properly secure your Vice. This is how I was instructed under the table by the guys at Subaru on how to secure the earless boot clamp right here. See this guy? Went around hard. I use the super inexpensive Napa style boot wrench tool. I'm sorry, boot clamp tool. It works, but you've got to really manage it. I just used a Cornwell 5/8 inch. Actually, it's not 5/8. That was 16 mil. Point is though, I tightened it with this, with the tail of that through there. You know, it basically works like this when you're tightening it. Not complicated. See, I planned this in advance, so you can tell clearly. And you tighten it. And we're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna show you guys in a later clip. To get back to these, what they told me at Subaru essentially is that you tighten it against the band, pulling through. And then you do your fold over. But again, you're looking for ears when you do the fold over to crimp down on the flap that you've cut off. They're not there. So what the guys at Subaru have been doing unofficially is they loop it around, tuck it underneath the band, pound it flat with a ball peen, and then drill it with a punch. So you basically take your standard issue woodworking punch, you get it in there, and bam, drive it on the back. And that crimps the whole thing down. I went and proceeded to give it a few more whacks with the ball peen, because don't have a garage unless you own a ball peen. But any hammer will do. I'm sure if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can do it with a rock. But point being, that's how they're doing it at Subaru. The important thing with any of these boots is that when you tighten it, you've got it to the point where this cannot slip. Any slippage on either end causes rotation of the boot, and that can prematurely tear it. You want both of these to be tight. With softer rubber, interestingly enough, Subaru has two different styles of rubber on each end. This end, it's softer rubber. And they tell you with the softer rubber, when you tighten down the boot clamp, you need to look for some expansion. You need to look for this being pressed down and squeezed. Because again, this cannot rotate. A lot of guys like to clean out, make sure there's no grease at all. They even go out here with an anti-grease compound. I'm afraid to use an anti-grease compound underneath here to get anywhere near the grease that I have trapped inside of the cup, because by doing so, I would degrade the grease in the cup, which needs to be awesome. And my belief is that you get these clamps tight enough, you're not going to get much rotation. Again, if you do, you get to rebuild this in practice again. We're going to show you how these things tighten on, though, here in a second. Bear with me. Fucking hair hanging off there. Plus side, it's on there. Nice. It makes me happy. Okay. Well, that's not the prettiest. I have to get that off of there. Pardon me while I get to a file. This will not be in the main video.
It's like watchmaking.
Except they would have followed the instructions or know what they're doing.
Watchmakers don't follow instructions.
They follow the Lord of the Watch.
Watchmakers just put stuff together and hope it ticks.
I sure hope not. Otherwise, they're overcharging.
There's some sort of engineer mind in there just for them to know what size of gear to put in for the right amount of tick.
Is that a technical term? When you take a look at the larger collar, larger boot clamp, you'll see that you've done pretty much what you would expect to do with a tab or ear boot clamp. You've folded it over and done a very hammery job of folding that over the collar. Hammery, that's a technical term. I'm going to patent that. Don't beat me to it. The question is, again, without ears, without tabs, to keep this, what do you do? The guys that I was, let's put it this way, the unofficial way that I was told to do this, you cut off about 1 inch, loop it around, tuck it underneath the collar, and then drill it with a punch, which you'll see is essentially what we've done on the other ones. They always say to start with the inside one, which is what we've done. Now you'll notice these are pointed in different directions. We made a mistake. I made a mistake on this one. What I was suggested that I do, although it was only a suggestion, is that you get it so that the rotation of the axle, again, this axle will be going this way, is that so if these catch on something, they don't get folded open. So I've got the inboard ones right. I've got those backwards. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, though, I'm going to see how easily this goes to get this thing cut off and looped. I'm just cutting it because I don't have the fancy cutting tool. I'm cutting with a nice set of snap-on snips. Good set of snips. Should make decent work of that. You'll know your snips are getting old when you can't do that. And then we needle nosed it around and made essentially a loop where it tucks back. And I guide the loop that I cut off underneath the tab. Not as easy as you'd think, because this is metal that does not want to keep being bended. Bent? Bended. Bended. You tell me which word is the right one. But the point is I got it up and underneath the collar. Then with it underneath the collar, sort of staying, kind of get a little encouragement. It's not pretty. That's I mean, take a look at that. It's not terribly attractive, what I've done here. It worked. It's on tight. This thing didn't move. But it's not, this is not as sexy as a set of tabs that give you a positive closure. But this is as positive as we're going to get. And again, this is how someone unofficially does it at a Subaru dealership. And of course, give it a little tender love to... Apparently that doesn't want to stay down. Okay, that right there is the unofficial official way that Subaru dealership has done this. Let's see, it's low pro, it's tight, you got a nice fold at the collar. We'll see how long this works, but again, this is how Subaru said unofficially that they're doing this. These earless hose clamps, I was having a very hard time finding information about these. I figured I'd done some research, might as well expose it to everybody. Feel free to comment if there is an official way to do this, with an official tool, with an official part number. Please post it, because after a week of searching through 3, 4, 5 mechanics to do this for a living, no one had seen it without the ears. Really? Except for the Subaru guy, the official corporate guy, at a dealership, who said, this is how we do it. We don't even have an official way we're supposed to do it. And again, this is from one mechanic. I'm not going to give any names because I don't know if it's official. And we are admittedly, in the end of 2018, if Subaru puts out a bulletin and says this is how you're supposed to do it, things might improve. It works. It's low profile. It's got a nice fold on it. There are no ears on the earless hose clamp. Let's see, you know, these got 100,000 miles on these axles with the rebuild. I expect to get another 100,000 out of them because they're OE Subaru quality. The trick is, how long is that going to hold out? I'm Justin Fort, offroad.com. This is not off-road stuff. This is cool parts stuff. And this is a really messy workbench. Sorry about that. Been busy. Talk to you next time. Frickin' growler kept it almost fresh. How are we going to secure these things on the wall? You gonna stay there? Totally true. Alright. That looks slightly less fucked up, doesn't it?